Hey guys, and welcome to my guide for servicing your rock tumbler. Regular maintenance is key to keeping your rock tumbler in top-notch condition, ensuring operational readiness, and properly oiling the drive shafts. I'm Will, and I'll be your guide through this servicing journey. Understanding how to maintain your rock tumbler is crucial for achieving stunning results with your polished stones. Before we dive into the specifics, let's take a moment to appreciate why servicing your rock tumbler is so important. Over time, wear and tear can affect its performance, leading to issues like uneven tumbling and excessive noise. By performing regular maintenance, you'll not only extend the lifespan of your tumbler, but also enhance its efficiency and effectiveness. Throughout this video, we'll cover everything you need to know to keep that rock tumbler running smoothly. So grab your tools and let's get started on servicing your rock tumbler like a pro. Now that we understand the importance of maintaining these machines, let's delve into understanding these machines a bit better. Throughout this video, we'll cover everything you need to know to keep that rock tumbler running smoothly. Alright, before we proceed, let's go over some basic safety precautions. Really important, before you start any maintenance procedure, always make sure you got that tumbler unplugged. Additionally, don't forget to wear the appropriate safety gear. I've got here some safety glasses, as well as some gloves, to avoid any potential hazards. Now let's inspect our rock tumbler. Look for any signs of wear and tear, loose parts, or unusual noises during the operation. These could be indicators of potential issues that need addressing, such as in my case. When I plug this crazy tumbler in, it makes a loud whining noise, but the motor refuses to engage. Take your time to thoroughly examine each component, from the barrel to the motor and everything in between. If you notice anything out of the ordinary, don't hesitate to investigate further or seek out professional assistance if needed. Alright, with that all out of the way, it's time to dive straight into this. So I've got here three basic tools that I'm going to be using for this. I've got here the backbone of my tools, which is this Phillips screwdriver. It's going to allow me to take off the top panel. I've got here a wrench. This is going to allow me to access the drive belt, and if I need to remove the motor, I'll also adjust tensions on it as well. And then I've got here a specialty tool. This is a pair of circlip pliers. This is going to allow me to address any issues that may be in the drive shaft. So to remove the main housing, all I need here is this screwdriver. And it's just going to be this one single screw right here. It's magnetic, so it sticks right to it if you've got a magnetic tip on your screwdriver. And you just take this, slide it straight out, put this in a safe spot. I always like to keep all my components together, so I'm going to put the screw right on top of that as well. And now we've got a really good clear view of the internal components of our tumbler. Really nothing too crazy in here. All we've got is the motor, a fan to keep the motor cool. This right here is going to be the belt, and you've got a large pulley here that causes the main drive to spin around. That's what creates the tumbling effect. So as you can see in this thing, it is pretty filthy. This is years of oil buildup. I'm actually going to clean this all out and get it nice and clean. I just recently added a new belt on here, so I know that is good. It's probably only 2 months old at the most. And this thing sees a lot of use. So now that we've got the cover removed, let's loosen the motor so we can actually get this belt off. I've got these 3 screws on the back here. This is for adjusting it. As you can tell, it's pretty shifted over to the right side. As your belt wears, you'll make adjustments where you'll actually push it over to the side and lock it down. I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. But we want to loosen these up. And to do that, I'm just going to take my wrench here. There's one. Set that down there. And these shouldn't be too crazy tight. So I've got this one nut here still holding in place. If I remove this motor is going to drop. You can see how it's starting to wiggle around. So I want to grip it from the inside here. I'll just remove this. You really don't need to do this when you have it on a flat surface, but since I'm videotaping it at an angle so you guys can see, it's going to fall right out just like that. All right. So now that we got that all loosened up, if you're just looking to make a belt adjustment right now, this is the spot for you guys. As you can see, this is way too loose. And what you're going to do on the back here, this slides your motor across. So this allows you to tighten your belt if I put it about right there for this belt, you can see I've got enough play where it's not too loose anymore, but it's also not too tight. You don't want it to be too tight where you don't get any play at all. So you do want a little bit of play, but like if I slide it back, now that's really way too loose. So right about here, we find a nice spot where it's not too loose. Perfect, just like that. It's kind of what you're looking for, is right about there. And then all you got to do to finish that up, just tighten these nuts. I've got 2 of them off though already because I'm going to be taking the whole motor out in just a second. You just tighten this up, put the lid back on, and you're good to go again. All right, now to get this belt off, we'll flip it upside down. And we've got this 1 screw right here. We'll just remove this single screw. This just lifts up a little bit and slides right out this bottom panel. You can see it's pretty filthy. I've got oil leaking out onto it, and this is a long overdue procedure, guys. I've got a little shop rag right here. Just wipe this down. Look at that. Oh man, that is pretty wild. And while we're at it, you can see all this oil around here. I'm just going to wipe this all down too, because a nice clean tumbler is a happy tumbler. And when you guys open your tumbler up, it's probably going to not look this filthy. This is quite a while, at least a year of buildup. It's been a while. I've been letting my tumbler go pretty long, just because I kind of wanted to make a video for this to show you guys. But yeah, I expect this to be pretty gnarly when you get deeper in here. All right, usually you have your tumbler on the bench when you're working on this, but to get a good angle for you guys, I got it held up in the air. To get your belt off, you're just going to kind of slide it up over there. It's going to be a little bit stubborn. You can kind of work it from both sides, slide it right on through there, and then gently spin it off the pulley, and then you've got your belt right there. And again, this is a brand new belt. All right, so now we can fully disconnect the motor from the housing. We don't need to remove it completely, but I do want to service it with some oil. There we go with that. Wipe this down too. Some oil dripping on it. So right here is where the belt attaches to for the motor as this spins around. This is actually a fan that kind of helps keep the motor cool in operation. These things are usually on for 24/7 for weeks, sometimes months, and there's no really good ventilation, so this is kind of the only cooling it gets. You can see I've got quite a bit of some oil that's leaked into this. I gotta make sure I get that clean. I might get some Q-tips for that just to get it nice. And I wouldn't recommend using like a brake cleaner or anything like that, although that would get it clean really quick, but there are electronics in here, guys, so a little bit of discretion is advised on that. Just take your time with a regular Q-tip like this. May need a couple of them. As you can see, mine is quickly deteriorating. All right, when it comes to lubricant, in the past I've always used machine oil, which has produced some really wonderful results, but as you can tell, it gets really messy in there and it's really prone to collecting and picking up dust. I live in the Southwest where dust is really common, and I believe that's one of the reasons why my motor started to seize up, is that you get dust inside there and it just collects and clumps with the oil, and bad times. So this time I'm going to be switching off with some silicone and Teflon based lubricant. It's going to be a dry lubricant, and I'm hoping, at least I've got my fingers crossed, this is going to produce a little bit more longevity for it. So as you can see on the main drive, I've got a lot of good play. It's well oiled and spins really good. I don't think I really need to service too much that one, but the auxiliary drive on this side, it has no play at all. It's kind of hung up, so I'm going to disassemble this. right here, it's held together by a circlip. And on the other side here, another circlip. And as long as I'm here, I might as well just wipe down this oil, more of this filth that's all on here. Might give you a better view exactly of what's going on here. So this right here is a circlip. And I've got these special pliers right here. What they do, they're not like your normal pliers. They've got these little needles here. You can actually put different sizes on if you need to, but they open outward instead of inward. I'll just line this up with this right here, kind of pop it open this way, and you can see it just disconnected right there. Might actually need it to kind of finesse its way out. And right there you can see what that looks like. I'm going to put this in a safe spot. Definitely don't want to lose that. Now you can see it disconnects right away. It's the little bushing right here. You don't want to lose this as well. We're just going to pop this out and get that nice and cleaned up. So that looks pretty filthy on the inside. Ugh, wow. So we'll go and get this bushing cleaned up real quick. This is plastic. So it might be a little bit fragile. Get that dirty Q-tip and just kind of, so I'm going to be re-oiling this whole thing, so it doesn't matter. Just get all that grease out. And again, you don't want to use any brake cleaner on this, especially since it's plastic. And a tip I find that works really well is applying just a little bit of rubbing alcohol to your Q-tip. That'll make short work of this grease pretty well. You can tell it's coming clean really quick already. All right, this is going to be a little bit tough to show on the camera here, but you've got this bushing right here that likes to slide up and down like that. Make sure you have it all the way flush with this circlip. And you're going to get your tool out. And you'll line it up. This side is really greasy. This is why you wear safety goggles, guys. These circlips love to go flying. So here this really greasy piece is. Thankfully it didn't fly off in a direction that we weren't able to find it. Make sure that's nice and clean. Since this is the inner side, I'm going to put this over on this side so I don't get my parts confused. And then we've got the bushing right here. That should just slide right off like so. So I've got this really dirty looking bushing right here. I'm going to set this over here for cleaning. And now we've got the main, or the auxiliary drive shaft right here, guys, excuse me. That should come right out just like that. So what's the best way to clean these shafts? Well, you can try rubbing alcohol. That usually works pretty effectively. This seems a little bit more caked on, so I may have to get a plastic razor. You don't want to use a metal razor because this is a rubber coated thing and that'll really scratch it. So using some kind of a plastic scraper is definitely advisable for this if it is really caked on. If not, definitely try that rubbing alcohol trick first. It usually works most of the time. So I'm going to apply a little bit of rubbing alcohol to this. Nothing too crazy, maybe a little bit more than that. There we go. I'm going to just rub this back and forth on there and hope for the best. I can feel it coming off already, so I may not have to get too aggressive with it. All right, this is looking just beautiful. Look how clean that is. There's still a few little issues, but yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, guys, unfortunately, when I was taking this shaft off, I forgot to mention. So you'll see how there's this thicker little area at the end here. This actually goes toward the motor, and the rest of this will go toward the back end of it. So that's kind of important to make sure you have it when you're reassembling it. I'll go over that again just a bit, just to remind you guys, but make sure the bigger end goes toward the motor side. So I've got a lot of good fluid play on the main drive shaft. I'm not going to need to disassemble that, thankfully. But just in case you do, the first thing you're going to have to do is remove this pulley from the shaft. And to do that, you're going to need one of these Allen wrenches right here. There's a little hole right on the side here. You're just going to plug that in, twist it. It's going to be really tight, so you may have to use a little bit of effort to get that off. Once you get that freed, you'll be able to pull the pulley right off. And then the same step, there'll be another circlip under here. You'll pop that off, and then you'll be able to detach the main drive shaft from that. Nothing too crazy. The only thing different about this side, though, is needing the Allen wrench right here to get that off, which is going to be right in there. All right, so now that I've got all the parts cleaned up, it's time to finally reassemble this thing. But before we begin reinstalling everything, let's just double check and make sure we still have all the components we need to reinstall. I have all my parts organized and laid out. Everything on this little panel here belongs to the front end. So where the motor is, these are all the components. I've got my drive belt right here. I've got one circlip, the little plastic bushing, and then the screw that attaches to the main panel that goes on the bottom. And on the far end of the tumbler, I've got all these parts laid out as well. I've got the other circlip, the plastic bushing right here. This is the little nylon stopper that kind of keeps the barrel from moving around. One of the little rubber feet that fell off, and these parts should have actually went on the front end. This is what attaches the motor to the main house. I don't want to lose those. Thankfully, it looks like all the parts are accounted for. So now I can start reassembling this. And the first thing I want to do is locate my auxiliary drive shaft, which is going to be right here. And as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have this little tiny fat end, which is about maybe 2 inches long. That's going to go on the side where the motor is. So we'll just line that up with the little hole that's in here. It's kind of hard for me to see from this angle. And we'll just make sure that's in there like so. All right, I've got here the plastic bushing that I need to attach on. This is going to be on the motor side. As you can see, I've got this little notch right here. That's going to line up right into one of the little holes on the main metal part. So you won't be able to push this all the way unless you line that little notch up, which is going to be right here in the downward position. You'll just line that up with that notch right there. And I always like to start with the side where the motor is because it's the most tight spaced area. And it's best to get that out of the way real quick. So there, we got that in there, if you could see that. Next, I've got here the circlip that's going to go on this. And this is just kind of a snap-in. You don't need a specialty tool at all to get this to go back in, which is nice. And there's no real proper way to do this. Just kind of line it up. There's a little slot. You'll hear it make a pop sound. Just like so. And if for some reason it's being stubborn, like it usually is when you're trying to find the right angle on the camera, just take some kind of a hard edge and just kind of gently nudge it into there. Just like that. So now this is going to be easy. We've got the back end, plenty of room to see and work on. We're just going to pop this bushing right in here. Remember, the little notch goes on the bottom. There we go, and we're all the way through now. So all I got to do now is find my circlip, which is neatly placed right over here. All right, so we'll just line this up, this little tab here. Oh boy. Holding it at this angle is going to be tough on camera, so we'll just use this tool again. Pop that into place. And there we go. So that is not moving anywhere now. That is good. The other side looks good as well. And one thing I quickly forgot to mention, in case you're wondering what that white powder was, I'm actually using a silicone spray for the lubricant on these this time. It's a little bit messy. It dries to a dry white color. Again, I used to use this old machine oil right here. Just add a drop there and then a drop there, and that is sufficient enough. But as I mentioned earlier, I live here out in the desert, guys, and I get dust, and that lubricant just attracts dust. So I'm trying something different this time and just using some silicone spray. All right. A lot of nice free play with this one. It doesn't get hung up anymore. It actually rotates just beautifully. This one as well. Oh, perfect.
And look how nice and clean that is. It's gonna make that barrel just glide right all over it when it's on. All right, next up, we gotta just reinstall the motor. For this step, I like to have one of these acorn nuts on standby. It's gonna make life real easy here in just a second. I'll set that right over here. All right, usually the serial numbers face upward, so that's gonna be the easiest way to remember it. But in case you do not have the serial numbers, the fan always goes, if it's facing this way, it's gonna be on the right side. You could probably fit it the other way, but then again, you also have to line these little screws up with the backing plate right here. So it's only one way you can really get this to go in, thankfully. And let's drop that in. Let's see how I have it lined up now. And like I mentioned, having that little acorn nut on standby, it's gonna make life easy as we just put one of these guys right on. I'm not gonna tighten it though, I just want it to hold it in so it doesn't fall out. And to install the belt, just like how we removed it, I'm going to flip it upside down. This is where it gets a little bit delicate here. I'm going to fish it around through the bottom. There we go, just like so. So as you can see, I've got it around the pulley, but I do not have it around the motor yet. So let's see if I can't get a good angle. So I'm going to take this belt, just gently get it around the motor just like so. With that all set, we'll add on our remaining acorn nuts. Then we'll flip it right side up. So once everything's reinstalled, that's how it's going to look. We just put on our belt. We just put on the remaining acorn nuts to hold the motor in place, but they're not fully tightened yet because we still need to make the belt adjustment. As I mentioned earlier in this video, you're going to want to make sure the belt is not too tight, but not too loose. We're looking for the Goldilocks setting right here. So on the back here, we can kind of slide the motor from one side to the next. And you usually don't need to go all the way to the right unless you have a really loose, worn belt. That looks about just right. So you see how it has some play, but it's not too tight where you can't move it at all. And it's not too loose where it's going to pop right off the pulley. So I like it maybe a little smidge bit more. There we go. That looks good. And then just take your wrench. Don't want it to be too crazy tight, but not that it's going to undo itself. If you have a socket wrench, this works even better than this. So before I assemble anything more, which is basically just the cosmetic panels, I'm going to test this out to make sure everything's working. I'm going to take the plug it in, and just double check. And look at that, it started up just great. That's always a good sign. All right, we're in the home stretch. Let's attach the cosmetic plates now. So I'm going to gently flip the tumbler over because the pulley sticks out just a little bit. I don't want to slam it down on that side. So I've got here this panel. This little groove slips right in this way. You're going to have this little panel cut out, which is actually where one of the feet goes, and then this will line up with the screw. So we'll just put this right in like so, and just down like that. I've got my screw on standby right over here. Looks like I pushed in a little bit too far. There we go, now it lines up much better. One of the rubber feet, looks like the adhesive is getting a little bit weak. I might have to get some glue for that guy. That just goes right there. And then I can flip it gently over onto the normal correct side just like that. beautiful. Then we've got that nylon washer with the screw. We've got the plate. The name, it really doesn't matter which way it goes, it's all going to fit on the same, but usually the nameplate will go facing toward the end. And then you'll just attach the screw right onto here like so. One thing I'm not a big fan of on the lower tone models is they riveted on their nylon washer here. There's no way to replace it. You can glue something else on top of it, but as you use this, it gets worn down. It's impossible to replace it. Unlike here, where you have the option of removing it because there's a screw there. All right, now for the moment of truth. Let's give this one more test to make sure it's working. But this time we're going to add a nice heavy barrel onto it. And we got our plug right here. We'll just plug this in. Oh, just beautiful. That, my friends, is the sound of success. No hesitation on the startup, so I definitely eliminated that problem, and it sounds just like it did when I first bought it, brand new. And there you have it, a comprehensive guide to servicing your rock tumbler like a pro. We've covered everything from changing out the belts to ensuring operational readiness and oiling the drive shafts. All right, my friends, until next time, happy tumbling.